you are invited to a murder. Arlington Grange, home of wealthy widow Elizabeth Peacock, society hostess and patron of the arts, a woman with a reputation she would rather forget. Colonel Mustard, secret lover of Mrs. Peacock, a dashing military hero whose glittering career hides a tarnished past. The Reverend Green, pastor of the parish, whose means of raising money are not heaven-sent. Though a man of the cloth, he has feet of clay. Professor Plum, nuclear physicist and government advisor. But would his research methods stand the scrutiny of a microscope? Miss Scarlet, vivacious stepdaughter of Mrs. Peacock, whose lust for the high life will let nothing or no one stand in her way. And Mrs. White, for the past 15 years, friend and housekeeper to Mrs. Peacock. But what dark secrets did she bring to Arlington Grange? 6 people, all with murder on their minds.
Good evening and welcome to a special Christmas Cluedo, where for the next 45 minutes we invite you to sit back and play armchair detective to solve the mystery of the murder at Arlington Grange. Who committed the callous crime, what weapon did they use, and in which room at the Grange did the dreadful deed take place? Well, Cluedo, like all good detective work, is about deduction and elimination, and that's the task ahead of our sleuths in studio tonight. And first, someone I'm sure is no stranger to a spot of sleuthing, Detective Sergeant Roach from the Bill, Tony Scannell. Joining him on her day off from Wentworth Detention Centre, Fiona Spence. And against him this evening to make sure of some gentle rivalry, also from the Bill, WPC Ackland, but in plain clothes, of course, Trudy Goodwin. And her partner in crime tonight with Trudy, a man who, as Danny Kane is used to dodging the long arm of the law, from the Paradise Club, Leslie Grantham, our detective. Now, in tonight's murder mystery, our investigations indicate that one of these 6 weapons was used to commit the crime. Was it this knife? Or the candlestick? Maybe it was the rope. The lead piping? The spanner? Or was it this gun? And that's not all our detectives have to discover. In which room at Arlington Grange did the murder take place? Was it in the drawing room, the dining room, the hall, the kitchen, the library, or was it in the study? Now, consider the evidence. It's Christmas Day at Arlington Grange, and the lady of the manor, Mrs. Peacock, has invited a few close friends to share the traditional turkey dinner.
Happy Christmas.
Thank you. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
You'll find the kitchen along there.
Thank you, Mum.
And if you'd like to come this way.
Oh, wonderful.
This is my stepdaughter, Vivian Scarlett. Vivian, this is Richard Forrest. At least, I assume.
Yes. Yes, I'm terribly sorry. I just thought it might be rather...
Very festive, yes.
Of course. I used to work for his father.
The judge?
Yes. So I only remember Master Richard, well, Mr. Richard as he is now, when he was, about 10 or 11. Then Mrs. Forrest died, and Master Richard got packed off to boarding school, and the judge sold this place. And I got sold along with it, as you might say. And have you worked for Master Richard for long? Mr. Richard? Mr. Richard.
Quite a while, yeah.
So you'd know if all the stories were true then? Oh, not that I'm asking you to betray any confidences.
Oh, he's led quite a life. It's worn me out sometimes just watching.
Really?
But I think he's changed. The last couple of years, And then his father dying.
Oh, yes.
I get the impression he's ready to settle down.
Happy Christmas, my dear.
Happy Christmas, Professor. Mother's in the drawing room.
Oh, right.
Though she has someone with her.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I'll,
Yes, you go in.
Vivian? Wasn't that the desperate suitor I just saw?
But at least he didn't come with flowers this time. There was another bunch delivered yesterday.
Has your mother said anything?
I'm still supposed to know nothing about it. I said to her, all these flowers from Professor Plum, I think he must fancy you. She said, oh, Vivian, don't be ridiculous.
Well, he's still trying, so she can't have said no.
I think it's just a boost to her ego. She can't have that many admirers. Not at her age.
You're a cruel, cruel woman.
Don't you like her?
Happy Christmas!
Oh, happy Christmas, Reverend. This is Ken. Ken, this is Reverend Green.
How do you do, Reverend? I sneaked in the back way because I wanted to bring you some of these mince pies. My housekeeper always does far too many.
Oh, don't worry, we can dispose of them for you.
Well, you're joining us for Christmas, are you, Ken?
Well, my boss is.
Oh.
Yes, Ken's Mr. Forrest's chauffeur. There, I'm getting used to it now, aren't I? Mr. Forrest. You remember the judge's son? The judge who used to live here?
Yes.
Rang Mrs. Peacock yesterday, right out of the blue. So it's can I cope with 2 more mouths to feed? No question of whether I'd like a little bit of extra help.
He's never mentioned me, has he, your Mr. Forrest?
Not as I remember.
No. Well, I just wondered. How are we going through this?
Library.
Yes. Yes, I've always dreamt of coming back here. You know how wherever you go, you always keep this image of home in your head? Well, this was it for me.
Your father told you about me, did he?
You once appeared before him on a manslaughter charge.
Oh, you did talk about me. Well, I'm flattered.
He didn't really talk about you, no. You see, my father, well, he kept very extensive diaries, giving his candid opinion on some of the more colourful miscarriages of justice he'd been forced to preside over. You know, people being found not guilty when he was certain in his own mind they were as guilty as sin.
So you know all about me?
Yes, all about 1 or 2 other people as well.
He said he was in the neighbourhood and could he call, which gave me very little choice but to invite him to join us for dinner.
I gather he spent most of his time squandering the family fortune.
And his father was a judge, you say?
Yes. I believe.
I met him when I bought the house.
Well, I never... Well, I might as well admit it. I appeared before him once. We've been collecting money to equip the church with new bells, and some of it disappeared. It was a dreadful affair. Dreadful.
Well, the son won't know that, will he?
Couldn't possibly.
I'm sure we all have our little secrets. Just that you're the only one professionally bound to confess them.
Study.
Yes. This is where I used to be summoned for my weekly turnings off.
He was my uncle, by the way. I shot him. Did these diaries tell you that?
You know, he was your guardian, wasn't he?
Yes, only the older I got, the closer he wanted to guard me. So one day I picked up a gun, just to threaten him, make him take his greasy hands off me. Only it was loaded, and so...
Excuse me. Only your mother says if you don't come now, your turkey's going to get cold.
Now, let me see what I've got here. Mrs. Peacock.
Well, thank you.
And Professor Plum. Right. Okay. And Miss Scarlet.
Oh, goody, I love presents.
Does somebody want something?
No, you've got to get your present.
Oh dear, you want to be careful of that.
And Colonel Mustard.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And